Hi there folks, welcome to Dunsy's Guitar World. Welcome to quite a quick lesson today. Now about a year ago I did a song by Curve, the band Curve. I absolutely love Curve. See when I hear this? That takes me right back to the flat that I used to live in when I bought that 12-inch single, came home, put on the turntable, did the needle drop. Takes me right back to that point in time just when I hear that intro. So anyway, so Curve. Very, very difficult to work out what Debbie and Alex are doing. I mean, the music of Curve is very sort of rhythmic with Dean's bass and there's technology being used, samples and stuff. I mean, they were well ahead of their time in the 90s when they were doing this stuff, and then Tony's vocals on top of that. But trying to work out what the guitars are doing is so difficult. So I went back and listened to some live versions. There's a BBC session where they did an acoustic version of this track. So the track is Superblaster. Now what I'll do is, before we even get to the lesson, I will play through the various parts, which I think, this is very much what I think the guitars are doing, what Debbie and Alex are doing. I am not 100% sure. So before we even do the lesson, I'll quickly run through some of the parts. Now I've put tons of effects on this as well. When you listen to the live guitars or when you saw Curve live, there was just a wall of guitars, reverb and modulation and maybe some sort of pitch shifting as well. They were using Jaguars, Mustangs and Jazzmasters. So I'll use a Jazzmaster on this, but when I'm playing through this there are tons and tons of effects on. Maybe when I come to the lesson I'll take most of the effects off. But yes, so if you want to give what I'm going to do a quick listen and you think, well that sounds a bit like what the guitars are doing in Superblaster, then maybe continue with the lesson. But if you watch what I'm doing here and you think, that sounds rubbish man, that doesn't sound anything like the guitars on Superblaster by Curve, then my apologies. So on with some guitar parts and then the lesson. As ever folks, it's a privilege and a pleasure bringing you content on Dunsy's Guitar World. Cheers for now. So if you've got this far, I guess you thought what I just played may be kindly similar to what's played on the studio version, but I will once again emphasise that I am really not sure, but this is how I would play it. So when you listen to the studio version, and probably more so the acoustic version that was on the Peel session, it does seem to start with this 3rd fret of the bottom E string. It's like a G chord, I think. It's just the bottom 2 notes of a G chord. 3rd fret of the E string, 2nd fret of the A string. And then the next thing I can hear is this, which is the 1st fret of the B string, pull off to the open B string, and then the open G string. So all together. Now I'm only using reverb on this, but on the sound example I did, there was tons of stuff on it. So anyway, here's how I think it starts. Now the next note I can hear is an A sharp, could be what Dean's playing on the bass. And you can hear a guitar playing that note. First fret of the A string. Now maybe what they're playing as well is the first fret of the B string and the G open again. So those two parts together would go like this. Now I'll change my camera view so you can get a good close-up of what I'm playing there. So the notes are the 3rd fret of the bottom E string, G note, and then the 2nd fret of the A string, the B note. And then 1st fret of the B string, pull off to the open B string, and then the G string open. And then the 1st fret of the A string, played with the 1st fret of the B string and the G open. Now during the verse there's a couple of different guitar parts, before the singing and after the singing. Here's how I think they go. Here's the first one. So the way I'm playing that is 10, 11, 12 of the G string, over to 10 of the D, down to 9 of the D, to 10 of the A, to 8 of the D. So I'll play that all slowly. Now the second part of that measure starts with the same thing. And then adds this at the end. So play that all together. So that end part is the 7th fret of the D string, slide down to the 3rd fret of the D string, back to the 5th fret of the D string. So that whole thing, very slowly. Now there's another very similar melody, a bit simpler, but certainly similar, and to me it sounds like this. So that's the 10th fret of the G string, bend it up, let it back down, to the 4th fret of the G string, bend up, let it back down, to the 3rd fret of the G string, slide up to the 5th fret of the G string, back to the 3rd fret of the G string. So it's whole thing's played on the G string, or I think it's all played on the G string. Now the chorus. The chorus just seems to have 2 notes in it, certainly the first time around, and it moves to like a C chord, I think. Strums on that. Just the way you would normally play like a C chord, but add the 3rd fret of the bottom E string, or you could just play the C chord like you normally play it. But I think it sounds better when you add that G in at the bottom. And then it goes to an A chord, an A sharp chord, sorry. I'm not 100% sure what's happening here. Maybe they're playing just a power chord. I mean, I doubt it. I doubt they'd be playing just a power chord. But certainly you're looking at the 1st fret of the A string, maybe the 3rd fret of the D string, or maybe they're going back to that A sharp chord that we played in the intro, which is the 1st fret of the A string, across those D, G strings, open, and the 1st fret of the B string. Maybe like that, droning, so it could go like this. I'll change my camera view so you can see the notes close up. So yeah, I'm playing the C chord with the 3rd fret of the E string, 3rd fret of the A string, 2nd fret of the D string, open G string, and the 1st fret of the B. Just a C chord like that, and just strumming across it. And then when we move to the A sharp, as I say, I'm not 100% sure of the chord. It's perhaps just the 1st fret of the A and the 3rd fret of the D, although I would doubt Curve are playing power chords like that. But that's certainly the sound I think is going on. Or as I said, you could play it with the 1st fret of the A string, D and G open, and the 1st fret of the B string. So anyway, strumming it goes like this. First time it just goes back to the G at the end of it. Now in the second chorus, at the end of the second chorus, I think it moves up to a D sharp. Again, I doubt it's a power chord, but this is the sort of sound you're looking for, is the 6th fret of the A and the 8th fret of the D. So the second chorus ends on the D sharp. So there you have it, a rather shoddy guitar lesson for Superblaster by Curve. Now I think the important thing here is, if you listen to the song, you know, so if you take those guitar parts which I've showed you, whether they be correct or not, I think they sound, you know, reasonably alright. But if you take them and play them against the song, you know, put the song on and play that, then if you put a lot of effects on, I was using reverb, delay, some pitch shifting, and some tremolo as well, and you put that on and you're playing like a Jazz Master or, you know, a Mustang or Jaguar or something like that, I think you do okay. I think you do alright. But it's very important to note, the only people that can tell you how this song goes would be Alex, Debbie and Dean. I guess because they played on the original version. Maybe Dean played the guitars on the original studio version, I'm not entirely sure. There you have it, that's how I would play the guitar parts for Superblaster by Curve.